Brett Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terror Boys over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with and talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! I'm on my way to Monday Night Raw.
The second one.
Your choice.
It's a trap.
I feel like it is. I feel like he's setting up fights in the front stretch is what he's trying to do.
Speedway. We've got Devin Borden with us.
At Keen Motorsports Shop here with Kyle Keen.
Sitting here with Sean Keen. We're going to talk a little bit about racing history.
Yep.
Monday, August 5th. I am Jimmy here with Chris and Jay-Z. We are the Turn 2 Terribles. Thank you all so much for tuning in, as always. We got a very special show for you guys tonight. We have Brock Hammaker on tonight. If you watched the Rowan podcast on Thursday, you got to know him a little bit. We're going to get to know him a little bit and see what his plans are and what his future holds. And we'll also have pretty much Central PA's man of the hour, TJ Stutts, on a little bit later. So we'll be talking to him probably around 8:45 or so. We'll see. And then we're also going to review everything that happened this past week. We're going to preview the Knoxville Nationals a little bit and other races around in the country and PA. So, fellas, how are you guys doing today on this lovely Monday evening?
Awesome, man. Ready to go. Excited for tonight. Didn't have a lot of racing around here. A lot of it going around the country, going on in the country. So it was a great night to have a couple guests, and thankfully they had a little bit of free time to chat. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Echoing that. Happy to be here. Let's get it.
Santos in the chat. What's up, T2T crew? Can't wait for another awesome episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Matt Bird, what's going on, guys? Nice to see you. Randy Kopp, as always, thanks for tuning in. Tony Sharp said there's some ugly guys on this show. I don't know about that.
Tony, look in the mirror, buddy. Look in the mirror. Okay.
All right.
That guy. No, that guy.
So we're going to get right into it. We're going to bring on our first guest, Brock Hammaker. Let's bring him on in. Brock, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you guys?
Great.
Good, man. Good. Hey, appreciate you coming in, man. Get to know you a little bit at the racetrack. Obviously, we know the last name. It's Central PA. It's a name that's been around. So let's start off like we always do with guests that we've never had on before, and we want to know, because I don't even know all the answers. Tell us a little bit about your family's background in racing that you know, your parents, your cousins, your brothers, your uncles, I don't know, you got a whole family tree still racing. So tell us a little bit about that. And, you're a young guy, and then kind of go into where you got started and where you're at today.
Honestly, the family history goes back a while. I really don't even know the true start to it. I know somewhere along the line, someone sold a race car to my dad, and that's kind of how they got started. And you know, it's been an ongoing thing ever since. His father got involved with it, and they actually started out in modifieds, and then they took the turn, got into late models. They sucked through all that. Like, they were absolutely terrible. You know, never had much success there. They did have some success, and then somewhere along the lines, they got into super sportsmans and sprint cars, and that's kind of what it's been ever since. And you know, they've been doing that for 90s, I believe, for the sprint car and open wheel action. And then I know my cousin Nate ran back in the early 2000s. He ran 358s. You know, he had his fair share of wins. Doug, Dale, they ran sprint cars for quite a bit now. And then Dale retired in 2012, I believe. But, you know, the history goes back a long time. And it's definitely one of the names that I believe will be remembered for a while in Central PA. So I'm glad to be a Hammaker.
So give us a little bit of background on your kind of where you got started. What age did you start driving, and what's been your path to right now in the super sportsman?
Yeah, I started around age 13. Started racing go-karts, and coming up through there, we put one together, me and Dad, and just for something to do on the weekends, and started doing that, running more of the state series stuff when we got better at it and had our fair share of wins. You know, the one year I think we clocked out 16. And then over the winter there last year, I was kind of like, the go-kart stuff, it's fun until you get to the adult stuff, and then you're just destroying equipment 90% of the time. Guys race with like no respect, and it's a whole different level of racing. It's like a demo derby with really expensive equipment, and you just get sick and tired of it to the point where you want to move into something else. And so, you know, I talked to my brother, and he had a super sportsman he was planning on racing, and I ended up in that. So big thank you to him for putting me in it, and thank you to my dad for letting me run it. Yeah.
So how's that experience been so far? You've gotten a test or two in. I think your first race was going to be was rained out. I want to say, or something happened there, and you've gotten a few under your belt now. So, you know, the first time in the car, what were your thoughts the first time you got in that car and went to a test session? What were the emotions like, and what did you think about the race car?
You know, so the first time we went out, I was supposed to go out by myself in the rookie sportsman class at Test and Tune, and then I ended up going out with the other cars, completely accidental. But I ended up, you know, pulling away from the rest of the cars that were out there, and actually was like pretty impressed with that. And I think everybody else that was with us was too. And then, you know, we went to another Test and Tune, had a decent time, got some really good laps underneath my belt. And our first race, I started 17th and I was running 10th, and I lost brakes. And, you know, I probably could have pumped it out and kept it around 10th, but I mean, not knowing what I was doing, I just pulled in, took the DNF, and moved on. And then I pulled a 13th and a 4th and a 3rd, and that's under 4 starts. So I'm pretty impressed with what I've done, but I think I can do more before the end of the year. So we'll see. But
what do you think helped you adapt so quickly to it, to pass cars and feel comfortable around other race cars and make lap times in a very unique car that you really, I mean, your family isn't even in that series at the moment really at all. So what do you think got you feeling comfortable so fast?
I think it's honestly just being around it for so long. I mean, we never really ran super sportsmans, but even still watching Doug grow up and watching him almost from the start race and watching Nate race growing up, I think that really helped me out, you know, listening to conversations that they have and being around it for such a long time that it really helped me adapt quicker. And then on top of that, like racing the go-kart really taught you some good habits on like how to know like what's around you and be aware of where you're at and stay high alert, because a lot of stuff happens quick in go-karts. So, I mean, it happens quicker now, but, you know, I think all that put together really helped me adapt. And honestly, I think that's really what it comes down to, is just the go-kart time and listening to Doug growing up.
Have you strictly been at BAPS so far?
Yeah, so that's the only place I've ran. Sadly, we were supposed to go to Bedford. which we didn't go just because, you know, not a lot of experience. It would have been my first race, and that would have been probably a pretty traumatizing experience for me. But we ran BAP so far. We have Williams Grove coming up, which I'm excited for that. You know, I hear a lot about the bridge and how it messes with the air of the car, and, you know, the long straightaways and sweeping corners. I'm really excited for that. So we'll see.
That'll be a challenge for sure. Was like Bedford, you know, being your first race, was it the town of Bedford or was it the racetrack you were worried about? Because I've heard
I
some
think it was,
sketchy things about the town of Bedford, you know? No,
I've
no, I'm
never
just
heard
kidding.
nothing about the yeah, I never heard nothing about the town, but I think I was just more so. I think I would have been fine. I think just with it being my first race, I think everybody else was a little worried, but I think I would have been fine. That's the one thing that I rarely have is doubts about myself, and that's not even coming from like a cocky standpoint. I'm just a very confident person, and I believe if you give me enough time in any car, I can win in it. It's just going to take me time to adapt to it and learn. But I mean, I think I can learn pretty quickly.
Jimmy typically does fan questions, but I'm going to ask because where did the number come from?
So that's actually I get that question a lot. We you know, everybody had 66 growing up, and then like my dad had 662, and Russell, my brother, had 66R. Doug had 66H for a while. Nate had 66N, and I was stealing everybody's number for the longest time, and finally last year we were doing the wrap there, and I'm like, let's do like a different number, and Chad Mullen and them, they're like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know, like I never had my own number, and you know, we eight's always been my favorite number, and I was just like 668, and they kind of looked at me weird, but they were like, all right, let's do it, and that's what it's been ever since.
And well, when you said ever since, on your cart all the way through?
No, so it actually came along last December when we were sitting there deciding last year's design. That's ever since then, so it's like a year and a half in the making.
And let's talk about the design. Jimmy, do you have that picture? Is that fairly
No,
handy?
I don't.
No,
I
that's
don't know how
okay.
to get it up really
The design, it's a white car with some pink on it. So, I mean, what design did that really take? Like how much, like, did you come up with that? It's super intricate. It's white with a pink number.
No, that was actually like we were the first race we were gonna go to. We didn't even have stickers on the car, so it was like I told Chad, I'm like, listen, get me whatever you can get, as long as it has pink on it, I'm fine. And like, you know, I get a lot of comments about the pink and all of that, and you know, we ran that in the go kart, and it was that was even like one of those things. It was like, what the hell, why not? And it was pink, blue, and purple then, with white body on the back, and it was something different. And you know, honestly, like a lot of people liked it on the go kart, and I was like, if we could make something like that happen on the Sportsman, like I know people. I shouldn't say people, like my brother and my dad aren't the biggest fan of the pink, and it's their car, so honestly, they could have shut it down, but they let it happen, and I really think it like brings out. I wouldn't say brings out who I am, but like it's like a standpoint of who I am. I like
Go ahead,
pink.
put the comment up, Jimmy. I think family's watching. You got,
Yeah.
You can get comments because it's ugly.
A lot of people think that. I guess I don't know.
Listen, I think
I
like
like it.
the way you have the font done with the number, there's a lot of design cues you could go around that and make that like flow and work good, right? Because right now it's just basic. You barely had it wrapped to get out there and get going. So as you get going and get into this, and you want to keep the number and keep the colors, I think there's a lot of design cues with the way that font is designed, with some things you can do in the body of that car. I mean, the Super Sportsmen are definitely goofy looking, but
Okay.
there's
Well,
some.
that's hateful.
What do you mean? They're
Oh,
listen.
I mean, they're sprint
Beauty is
cars.
in the eye of the beholder. The world thinks they're goofy looking, but listen, I'm just saying that those numbers in that font, there's some design things that you could do with it, definitely make it flow well. So, and there's some sharp looking Super Sportsmen out there. So, I like where you got started, Russell. I don't want to hear it. No pink hate, no 668 hate. Okay.
I have two questions though.
If he's up front, it can look any way it wants. Go ahead.
So question one, you said number 8 is your favorite number. Why is that?
I don't know. I just, you know, that's always what it's been. As long as I can remember. I mean, it's always kind of been like a lucky number to me. And truthfully, I really don't know. Like, 7 is my birthday, May 7th. So it's like, you think I'd choose that, but no, I mean, it's just 8's kind of been from the start for no reason. And I've kept it. So
Fair enough.
My oldest daughter was born on May 7th. How about
And my uncle is May 7th. How about that?
Wow.
Follow-up question. The
What?
pink. Why are you so
L.
adamant with the pink? What's the deal with the pink?
nobody does it. How many cars do you see that were pink besides like Kramer Williamson and a
can
few other
confirm.
guys?
JJ Loss, Tim Wagaman.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Hey, other than
you
those
got
guys.
a handful. Yeah, it's a handful
Yeah.
of guys, but
It definitely stands out.
Kramer was the legend growing up, and
Mhm.
he had a lot of pink on his car. I mean, what's it stopping?
He's the
You
Pink
know?
Panther. So there you are.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that. Very good. Continue on, Jeremy.
No, yeah. Okay. So looking forward, you said Williams Grove's on the schedule. We're already, that's going to get you into early to mid-August here. There's going to be some BAPS races left. What else this year that's different? Number one question would be any other tracks other than Williams Grove and BAPS, and are you running the 100?
We are running the 100. I don't know how stoked anybody is for that in our side of the racing world. I know I'm stoked for it. Hopefully I can make it 100 laps. That break's going to be crucial for me. And then I believe BAPS is all that's left on the schedule, just because everywhere else is kind of like one of those what if situations. Like we could go to Path, but we'd probably end up junking some equipment there, and we only got one race car, so it's not like we can afford that right now. And then on top of that, I mean, we could go to Williams Grove, but we have a wet sump motor, so it's going to be pretty difficult for us. So, it's just more so like what if situations. I mean, we could go to all of them, but I don't know if we'd make it through all of them.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think it's better to be smart. Get the seat time. Now, are you going to do any more testing throughout the weeks? With only a handful of races left, or are you saying, hey, I want to save the laps and use them in the races?
That's a really good question. I haven't even thought about that. I did want to talk to Dad and Russ about a testing tune coming up just before the 100 lapper. I really want to win that one. I mean, it's the 50th annual, so that'd be really badass if that was my first win.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if it's not my first win, it's also my rookie year, and I only got a handful of starts, so I'm not going to be crazy upset about it.
Yeah, I think it's one of them where, I mean, you can never set the bar too high for yourself, and I appreciate that, but that's a hard damn race to win, or finish, let alone win, right? So, listen, I'm not putting anything past you. You already have a third on your freaking resume
Third and
in
fourth,
a very competitive division, against a great field of cars. So, it really was amazing. The first time I saw you behind the wheel, and I was like, this is not its first time. Like, there's no way. And I can see you almost learning lap by lap, and car was tight, entry, how you set the car, and throttle, and because you can hear it in testing tunes. There's not that many cars on the track at once, so with you being obviously a quick learner and a quick study with this, what are your goals? I mean, I don't want to say what are your goals because you want to go win every race you enter, but what are you looking for? I know it's early to talk about next year, but are you trying to build the program with what you have for next year, another car, some other parts to race more, or just have things to replace if inevitably you're going to break something at some point and run into something? So kind of what is your plan? You may not have it all written down and like, hey, this is absolutely the way it's going to go. But as you look toward 2025, what's kind of your idea?
I know we're going to most likely compete in all the weighing races. I mean, that's what I believe we're going to do. I mean, it's still got to be talked over with everybody and stuff. But on top of that, talking with Chad Mullen, I think we're going to try to do some wingless stuff if we can get a car together and all that and do it the right way. If we can't do it the right way and we're half-assing it, it's not going to happen. That's one of the bigger things in the family that I've gotten thrown on for is half-assing stuff in the past. So that was go-karts, so we can't, like, this is a whole different ball game and you can get hurt way quicker. So if it involves any half-assing, we're not going to do it. And beyond that, I mean, we're just planning on, main goal is to hit every wing race that we can next year that we think we can run. But if we can get a wingless car,
if we can get a wingless car, how old are you, Brock?
18.
Okay, so you're young and you're stupid. Okay. But the best thing you said so far was that you're going to take your time and you're not going to half-ass it. So you have all the time in the world to get this right and to learn, and you won't get seat time if you don't have your shit together. So if it ain't right, it ain't going to work. There goes your seat time. So it's worth the patience there and, get the laps in. So that's all I have. Jimmy, Chris, what do you got?
I got two quick questions. One for Jeremy. Jeremy, do you know what a wet sump motor
Between
means?
a dry sump and a wet sump oil pump?
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you know what that means? I was just wondering that, because that's a Brett Perigo thing he taught me a long time ago.
I've been taught it in technical terms. I couldn't recite it to you this moment, no, but I get the general idea. Yes,
I couldn't recite it to you either.
Brock, can you explain it to everybody that might not know?
Explain it to the stupid people, because I've only heard this one time and I felt like I was stupid.
We better not ask that question to me. I'm not the brightest of nerds, so I don't really know either. I just know what some probably won't make it around Williams Grove for 25 laps, and
there you go.
Dry sump will.
There we go. Good enough. Good enough. And then the follow-up question. So, Brock, I wasn't there Thursday. I'm sure Tony and his gang asked you, but the Sports 100, big race. You mentioned winning it and that being your first win. What does that race mean to you, and what would winning it mean to you?
It's one of those things you can't really describe with words. It'd be really crazy to win. Especially with it being the 50th annual, it's definitely going to be one of those things that if I did win it and I was to get interviewed there on the front stretch, I wouldn't know what to say. Especially with it being my first win, if and when it does come. If that was my first one, it would be it'd be a night to remember. That's pretty much what I can say.
Fair enough. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Tony in the chat, Tony Sharp says, ask him about his shoes. What's up with your shoes?
Yeah, it's back to the pink. I'm a big pink guy, and Simpson has some pretty cool shoes out, and they're pink, yellow, green. I think there's some blue in there, some black. They're but that's what we got.
You talked about the Sportsman 100 and trying not to fall out of the seat, and you're going to need the break. Have you been in the gym? Are you working out?
So I believe that fitness is one of the biggest. I wouldn't say it's one of the biggest, but I do believe it's a big part behind the seat and behind the wheel. I started going to the gym back in like December, and I started going till about around April, May, and then I kind of slacked for a little bit. But before I got on here, I was at the gym. I got home and cooked dinner here, and that's kind of gym's a pretty crucial part of my day normally. I go every day almost, and yeah.
So go ahead, Jimmy.
Randy Kopp asks, is there going to be any merchandise in the future for sale?
That's the plan. Our merchandise guy is slacking, I guess you could say. I'm trying to get on and help me make some merch, but because I don't know what I'm doing fully. So, but I plan to get some merchandise out for next year, maybe the end of this year. But either way, I plan to get some.
The question I do ask, and I really didn't do that. We usually do it closer to the end, but we're already 20 minutes in. So far, and maybe this is karts. Maybe you have to go back to karts because you only have 4 races in the Sportsman. So Santos used my question in the chat to ask you the question that I asked drivers. So thanks, Santos. But somebody you love racing with and somebody who's a pain in your ass to race with. You don't have to dislike them. You can still like them, but they're a pain in the butt to race with.
Definitely a favorite to race with is probably Kenny Edkin. He's I got behind him, or he passed me there around like lap 15 on Saturday, and for the last 10 laps of that race, I learned a lot. So it's definitely nice to be behind him. Now racing him and Scott, they're both my biggest pain in my ass because they've got 20 to 10 years of experience, and I've got 4 races of experience plus some test and tunes. So it's like, that's where they really get me. Like, I think looking at lap times and stuff, maybe I could have won last Saturday if I beat them to the front. But those guys have so much experience that they came like 14th to first in like 3 laps. They charged through that field, and I struggled to get around the top 3 guys that were in front of me before them. So, the experience really kills me right now, and that's where those guys are beating me, which is, that's the reason they're the biggest pain in the ass to race.
Yeah, listen, I don't think you get too far ahead of yourself there. That experience is going to go a long way for those guys. And they went when you said, "Hey, my lap times were competitive and I learned a lot." Keep learning. They're going to take you to school a lot before you start winning a lot of races. I would
Honestly,
think.
Brock, you just got to steal Kenny's hot dog roller. That's at least 310. You're probably good. I've heard that from sources.
The magic hot dog roller. But yeah, I mean, you got a lot of guys to follow and learn. And, if you beat them and you do get one, it's only going to obviously be good for you. But I would tend to think that you have a lot of lessons to still learn, and you're going to learn them the hard way, or you're going to have a few taken from you for a lot of reasons before you end up getting that one. Maybe you do get that one sooner or later, but you definitely have the right attitude about it and the confidence to do it, and keep learning, right? Because when you go venture out to these other places, man, it could be an eye-opening experience, right? Whether it's past Williams Grove, heck, Williams Grove in a couple weeks, that's a whole nother animal, right? So you've been going there forever, but still driving, it's probably different than watching, I would assume.
Yeah, no, I'm not I don't tend to get worried too much, but Williams Grove's definitely got my nerves up. Talking to Doug about that place, he was like, "Don't turn in too soon," and I'm like, thinking about that, it scares you almost just a little bit thinking about it, because what are you gonna do? I've got no laps there, and it's not like I can rent the racetrack out. I'm sure I could, but it costs a lot of money, and I don't got the money to do that right now. So,
yeah, that
we'll
wing
see.
speed, you're gonna have that downforce. It's going to turn really well with that speed. So it'll want to turn. So good luck, because I don't have any tips for you there.
Right.
I don't.
And I'll piggyback on that. So, Brock, who do you look for advice in that scenario? You're going take BAPS out of it because you've done some tests, but these new tracks like Williams Grove, who you turning to kind of get any kind of advice?
Probably Doug. Honestly, Doug or my dad. Those two got a lot of experience, dad motor wise, and Doug championship and winning wise. So, those two definitely. I talked to Doug a little bit Friday night. Like I tend not to go to races if I'm not racing, just because I can sit at home and watch it on TV if I really wanted to. So, but Friday night I went, and it was definitely a good learning experience for me to watch those guys race. Now, that wasn't sportsman, but it was still something to watch. But still, even then, we'll probably go there, and the track's gonna be 100% different. So it's really tough to learn.
Yeah.
Jimmy.
Tony asked us to ask you who you work for and what the connection is to racing.
So I race for, I work for Myers RV, which is the main sponsor of the BAPS or the BAPS Super Sportsman's. So, and then my boss, I raced against his son Troy Rome. So it's it's a pretty good connection there. I'm racing for my boss. So I'm racing against my boss. So if I wreck his son, I'm probably getting fired the next day.
Yeah. Don't do that, sir.
Hey, I'm in the market for a camper. Can you get me a deal?
I probably could, maybe.
Sounds like Jimmy's going to Myers RV here
Yeah.
soon. The main sponsor of the BAPS Super Sportsman Series.
When is the Williams Grove race? What
August
weekend is that?
23rd, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's the 23rd.
23rd. Okay. I guess I got to put that on my calendar, huh?
Probably should.
Yeah.
So, Brock, you should probably take the wing off and get invited so you can wreck our friend Brett Perigo, because he's a problem.
I think the wing will stay on for the rest of the year.
That makes sense. Good job.
Looking forward. Oh, good.
Steph, your question is the answer is Williams Grove, because that's all he's been on so far.
It's BAPS.
BAPS.
He has never been to Williams Grove.
Or BAPS. So, excuse me.
Get
BAPS.
it together, Jeremy.
I'm
20 minutes in, Jeremy's already wrecked.
Yep. All right, I'm out of here. See you later.
Brock, looking forward, obviously past next year. I know you're it's probably but what's your overall 410 sprint car, stuff like that? Is that what you will eventually get into? And what would be a track that you really want to get to as well?
Probably a dream track to get to would be Volusia or Skagit or Knoxville, somewhere that's pretty historical, but at the same time it's not, you know what I mean? Somewhere that has a lot of or not experience, but a lot of history, but you can still make history there. And then end goal, it's gonna be tough. and it probably won't happen. I mean, I'm willing to do anything in my power to make it happen. But if I could eventually be a professional race car driver, that was the dream. That was the dream growing up, and it's still is the dream. I think that's a lot of kids' dreams in this sport, is to make it a job for them. But at the end of the day, money honestly buys rides now, and talent half the time doesn't mean nothing. So I gotta work twice as hard as somebody with money than somebody that doesn't. So um, end goal though is to make it a professional race car driver. But it's gonna be a lot of work to do that. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you just talk about the local side of things, winning races, running up front, being smart, gets you noticed, and it can lead to shots. So, be patient, keep grinding it out, do with what you can within your budget, and opportunities will present themselves. We've seen that over and over and over in Central PA, and we know in Central PA, it can be a springboard to a lot of other things. So, you keep being smart about it, get the good finishes, don't drive over your head, right? Don't, all those things will lead to good things. There's not one race that's going to make it, and there's not one bad thing that's going to break it, but a lot of bad things can break that chance. So, if I could ever stay at 1,000-foot view, step back and look, and Troy Wagaman, I was thinking the exact same thing.
Exactly, Santos, spot on.
Started with a budget, had obviously some help, but did a lot of the stuff on his own, and very smart race car driver. Did his job, put himself on the map, and and his career's off and running. And who knows where it takes him, right? He's not a young guy, but he's not an old guy yet either. So you're in the right geographic area. Take your time. There is no timeline. And, there's guys still doing this in their 50s. You have a lot of time. I know the impatience will be there, want to be there, right? You want to go get all this done and do it tomorrow. But be smart, finish up front, and good things will happen.
Yeah, and I like the point that you brought up. Like, I'm young, I was on that podcast Thursday with Tony Jackson. He was talking about how he just started running 410, and that, a lot of the majority of the guys he's racing are young drivers, and that's where I'm at with it. I mean, could I be in a 410 by next year? Probably not, but even if it's 2021, if I make it to a 410, that's really gonna suit me because I'm young. A lot of those guys that are there's a lot of guys that are starting to get old, and their days are limited. I should say. So
Twilight, yes, for sure.
Yeah. So being young is definitely playing in my prime time. It's definitely playing in my future, which I got that going for me, which is nice. And I'm fit. I'm not unhealthy. I'm a pretty healthy child, I'd like to say. So that's also the other thing I got going for me. But now I just got to put in the work and make stuff happen.
You're not a child. You're 18 years old. I mean, you're a child.
I work with guys that are 40 years old, 30 years old, so I still look at myself as a child.
Easy.
I'm still.
Easy.
I mean, you're a baby, but you're not a child. You can go to war at this point,
I can. I'm on the list. So.
But I have two final questions, and I'll go with this one first, Brock. What made you decide to run a super sportsman?
That's all I had. Russell had the car, and selling out go-karts, it still doesn't, come close to what a sprint car costs. So,
Sure.
Behind all the sponsors that help us, there's a lot of great people behind that, and I'll get into that in a little bit. But, behind that, Russell had the car there. He was going to race, ended up not doing it for whatever reasons. And they presented the opportunity to me, and I probably shouldn't have the ride due to a few things I've said in the past, which I apologize for. I wasn't the greatest brother, but I'm trying to fix that and make myself better. I should say it in general, I'm trying to better myself as a human. That's also the other thing I got to do in life. Opportunities come and they definitely go. And I've passed up some great opportunities in the past. And that's the one thing I got to take in the future is take advantage of all the good opportunities and make sure that I'm thankful for everything. So that's definitely one of the things on the bucket list is to better myself as a human every day. So
that's part of growth, right? Like you talk about you being a child or whatever Jeremy want to call you. Growth. There's growth. So that's good. So now looking ahead, if you could choose one race you would like to win, any division, any car, what would it be?
Can you hear us?
I think I don't know, whatever one is out in California. I still don't know if it's the Silver Cup or the Gold Cup, whatever it is though. I want to win that really
Gold Cup.
bad.
Or Trophy
That is
Cup.
definitely a
Gold
bucket
trophy,
list win.
silver.
I think it's the Gold Cup. But
Yeah, sounds right.
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got you.
We're good. He's just a little
Maybe not.
delayed. That's all.
Yeah,
He's
it's
a little
just a little
delayed.
bit.
That's what it is. So he's got to hang tight here for a second.
Is that? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you still.
Yeah.
It's starting to break up though a little bit. So, if you can still
Can
hear
you
us,
guys hear me?
yeah, we got you. Can you? I don't know if you can hear us. I think he's losing it, the connection.
You guys got me back there? All right. But yeah, that's definitely the bucket list win. Is Gold Cup, Trophy Cup, whatever it's called. I don't know. I know it's a high dollar paying race, and it's definitely one of the more interesting races to watch.
Before we get you out of here, you let us know some of the sponsors that you got and some of the people that help you get to and from the track and that make this all possible. I think he lost connection right at the end.
See if he comes back in.
Yeah, I'm gonna disconnect him here and see. But he's a smart young kid. You could tell he's got his head, good head on his shoulders and has the right mindset. You know, for a kid his age, pretty mature. So excited to see what he does and definitely name the watch here in Central PA.
Yeah, I agree completely. And I appreciate the confidence yet humility, knowing that he hasn't been the perfect brother, son, maybe, and is willing to even speak up about it. Right? He doesn't have to say that stuff, and willing to say he wants to put in the work and time to recoup that and reconnect with people that he may have hurt or whatever the case may be. So. Just looking forward to watching him continue to grow behind the wheel and already what he's done, and looking forward to see what the future holds for him for sure.
I'm going to try to bring him back. It looks like he's moving I could see him moving in the background here. I think he's trying to get to a
Wi-Fi
wait for him to
spot.
stop moving. Yeah. Hey,
Is that better?
Is that better? Yeah, that's much better.
Yeah, I think so.
So we want to at least give you the opportunity. We want to thank you first for your time and everything. We were just saying how excited we are for your future here, and we think you pretty mature and have a great head on your shoulders. So, but want to give a shout out to the sponsors and people that help you get to the track and make this whole thing possible.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people behind us that make this possible. We got Colton Miller and his construction company. I still got to learn the name of his construction company. That one's got me beat right now. I said that on Thursday, and I still don't know the name, and I apologize for that. Hammaker Enterprises and Hammaker Race and Engines, that's a given. B&B for Birds, FXG sign label. Chad's done a lot for us. He's my crew chief. Majority of my crew chief. Him and my dad go back and forth with it. And then, Bell Helmets and Jamie. She's helped me out a lot with getting helmets in the past. And, there's still a lot of great people there, like Rick Meese and his family. Dale Hammaker, him and Doug, they've done a lot for us. So there's definitely a lot of great people. Russell, he's gave me the car to race. So him, and then on top of that, my dad. Without my dad, I wouldn't be anything. So the biggest thanks goes to him.
I believe Colton Miller is Homesteads Renovations LLC.
That's what it is. And that one's got me beat pretty good. I'm gonna have to learn that.
It's on the top wing. It's on your race car.
I know.
Come on, my guy.
Kind of important.
Yeah.
From Halifax. Okay. Homesteads Renovations LLC, 717-833-4396 is the phone number. They do have a Facebook page. Check them out. Big help for Brock and his team there. So Appreciate you being here, brother. It's nice to get to meet you in this way. I met you, talked to you at the track a few times in the last couple of years, and we're definitely excited to kind of follow along your journey. And obviously, the fans are looking for merch. Get that stuff out there. Go see Brock. He'll be at Williams Grove in a couple of weeks. Sportsman 100. What weekend, Chris?
August 31st.
There you go.
Be Labor Day weekend, August 31st,
So,
100. And there's a fan fest that day in case you wanted to get there early.
I want to be there early.
Are you going, Jeremy? Are you?
No, I won't.
No,
I
he's
didn't
not
think you
going.
were.
I'll be there though.
All right. Well, I believe I'm gonna try to throw some bags in the cornhole tournament, so maybe I can make something happen in that.
The last time Jimmy and I played a cornhole tournament, we didn't have a good time.
You got beat by an 8-year-old. Say it.
Yeah, we did twice.
They got dog walked by an 8-year-old.
Absolutely. And he straight up flexed on us. It was not a good time.
All right, man. Thank you so much. We'll get you out of here.
Yeah,
we'll see you at the
Thank you for
racetrack.
having me. But
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
Brock.
you. All right, so we do have our next guest in the back. I'm hoping everything works because we haven't been able to test anything. So live streaming, folks. But this guy is probably the man of the hour here in Central PA, like I said before. The man that almost burned Williams Grove down a couple weeks ago, winning the Morgan Cup a couple Fridays ago, and then also winning this past Friday. 3 wins this year there at Williams Grove. Looking fast, looking sporty. Let's bring him in. Let's bring in TJ Stutts. TJ, can you hear us? I don't know if he could hear us. You could hear him.
Shoot him a text.
He might have to maybe turn his camera off or something. Well, I'm gonna take him off the screen and see if that works. Bear with us, everybody. All right.
Did we have an issue with the link before? Hold on.
No.
Hold on. I thought it was something with phones.
Borden was on the phone. I'm trying to think back through, but
let's see. TJ, there.
Oops.
I could kind of, his mic's doing something.
I'm gonna have him try to leave and come back. Okay. If not, did you get do you have the phone thing working, Jimmy? Do you know?
No, it doesn't work. Me and Chris tried it.
Yeah, we tried it last week, but I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
This year, though. What a year.
Yeah.
3 wins. Beat the Ward of Outlaws. He beat the damn Outlaws. Quote, unquote. While we figure him out, let's talk about that. That's three of his 4 wins this year.
Like, my big question is, like, what changed? Like, was it just the races fell that way? All of it came together. What has changed? Did he change it? Is it the program? Something with their program? Because listen, it's not for lack of trying, right? It's been a lot of years getting at it, and all of a sudden, it's like, boom, it all clicked, right? So, it's like the Michael Waltrip getting the DEI and running, running super speedways all of a sudden, sort of thing. That been there, worked on it, tried, but this wasn't a change, right? This wasn't a team. This wasn't really anything changed. So that's like my thing is like, what clicked? What has happened? Has it been you've had more of them taken away that we all just forget, right? Yep. Like you're going to hear me repeat this because I want to. That's the questions I want.
For sure. Ultra fast at Williams Grove, track record at Williams Grove for a spell. If not, I don't remember if it got beat, but still, it's just
TJ,
it was building.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, TJ?
We could hear you.
saw him.
A little
Hey,
bit.
I got video.
I see TJ.
We're getting there. Progress.
They don't by default come in muted, right?
No.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I don't know. This is very laggy. I don't know if that's going to work.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
You want to kick Jeremy back? While he's doing that, so Jimmy, we were there for TJ's win against the Outlaws. Campground was berserk. We talked about it last week a little bit. Oh, give me your thoughts. He's a Sealands Grove guy. You're a Sealands Grove guy. So, we've been fast at Sealands Grove. So give us your thoughts on that while Jeremy works on that.
I should be coming back.
Yeah. TJ, can you hear us? Video's coming through good now.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you guys now.
Oh, great.
Hey,
right,
let's go. Hey. How's it going, man?
3 times.
Hey, we appreciate it. Even if it was just audio, man, you didn't have to do the video. All good, though. Very much appreciate your few minutes.
All right. Sorry for the delay.
No worries, my friend. No worries. We would rather have the patience to. People want to hear you, so you may not believe that, but we have something we wanted as a group. But I know that there's people that watch our show that you don't do a lot of interviews. We don't see we don't see you out there a lot in the media like some of the guys, and you deserve this. You've earned this. So my big question, I was just kind of talking while you were coming on there, years and years of going to Williams Grove and weekly. This year, man, it has been a dream month or two. What changed? What was in the program this year? Did the races just kind of fall your way? What has changed that's kind of made this year just kind of work out?
Well, I don't think it's just one thing. I mean, middle of last year, if you look at the results, we started getting going a lot better than we had been at the beginning of the year. And then the beginning of this year, I mean, if you look at the results, all we did was crash and got caught up in stuff. And I mean, it was a pretty horrific first 2 or 3 months of the racing season. I mean, we had speed. We just couldn't top anything off. I think we crashed like the first 3 or 4 or 5 weeks at Port Royal and at the Grove. So it put us behind. And when you get behind at the beginning of the year, it's hard to get out of it. But that's really been the only change. I mean, everybody keeps asking me what changed. I think the only thing that's really changed is myself. We just had to get back where we could feel what we were doing and have some understanding of it and work from there.
The only other thing that comes to mind for me that I saw that changed is you put a lot of laps at Lincoln this year. And it's been a long time since you put a lot of laps in at Lincoln. It may not correlate at all, but do you think just being in the seat in something change, other people's stuff, kind of your stuff? Like, is there anything you could put together in your mind that says, hey, that maybe there's something to do with that?
Well, I can tell you one thing it eliminated working until midnight, 1 o'clock and having to get up at 4:30 every morning. I mean, that people don't understand that's a huge part of this, because especially when you had a rough start to this season, like we work all winter to build everything for the year. Like we don't go to the parts store in the middle of the week and pick up a front axle or go to Winners or whatever and go try to put stuff together in the middle of the week. It is absolutely not an option for us. If we don't have it sitting there sub-assembled in March when we start, we don't have an option. It's not necessarily a money thing. It's a personnel thing. We just don't have that. I mean, I think maybe running the plank car has eliminated a little bit of stress off of everybody, that we can kind of regroup and you're not 7 days a week on the race car deal. I mean, I know I kind of laughed at it being like golf. It's not like golf at all, because golf, you get to put your bag away and you don't have to see it till next Saturday. The problem with our stuff is the 410 stuff just eats itself parts wise, and you just got to stay on top of it, or you don't you don't get the results you want. So you're just there trying to go through the paces.
Has it set in that you're a World of Outlaw winner?
Not really. I'll tell you, like my biggest takeaway from the whole Outlaw win is I've seen it my whole life. I've lived it. I didn't know what really being posse meant to everybody else. That's probably my biggest struggle with winning an Outlaw show is what it means to everybody else. And I don't know if that sounds ignorant or dumb, but I can tell you one thing: when I popped up through the backstretch opening, and there's people hanging off the fences, and just the sound, I'll never forget any of that.
Did you hear in Victory Lane, did you hear the TJ chants from the front stretch when you were standing there? I know there was a lot going on, but did you hear it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I definitely heard it. And I'm pretty sure most of the Outlaw guys heard it because I got a lot of compliments on Saturday just in reference to that about what it means to be in PA, and the word badass was used a bunch. And I thought that was pretty cool from some people that I have a lot of respect for.
And I'll let Jimmy and Chris, they have questions for sure. Now, so this will be it for me, more of a comment. But, I've been going to this a long time as a fan, and we're all fans. All of us are fans. And that is a Victory Lane in a moment that I'm going to remember probably forever. And, I don't have TJ Stutts merchandise, and I'm a fan of your program and your boys. Ethan and I talk with me doing the photography and Williams Grove and those things. But I'm a fan because of that experience and what that felt like standing there with the cheers and just everything you just said. I can't even imagine. It's times 100 for you as the driver that did it. As a fan standing there in posse territory, beating the Outlaws, beating David Gravel, the best in the absolute world right now, right? It's just a dream come true kind of thing for a posse fan. It's not just that we beat them. It's TJ Stutts, and sort of the underdog, and journeyman. You've been around a long time. You're the experienced guy without the ton of wins. It's a moment that I'm not going to forget for a long, long time. So thank you for that.
Let's talk about that, because I don't want to say I'm getting tired of week. People don't realize, or they forget, that from 2008 till 2015, 16, we only ran a handful of four. There was years there we didn't even run a 410 race. People act like I ran at the Grove every week, year after year after year after year, and never won a race. That's not the truth. I don't think we completed a whole season until, I don't know, 17 maybe. And then 18, I broke my back, so we didn't run a whole season. And then the whole cancer thing. So I think the years don't always add up to the whole story.
Agreed.
And I'm not trying to. There was a commentary made by a California guy. He did a whole thing about how many races I had ran and how many races in this and how many races of that. And I'm not trying to defend myself, but it was. I think there's other parts to our story that, number one, I don't want to be a victim. I don't ever want to talk about it because, I think it's all right now because we're on the other side of it. But I didn't ever want that to be my story. I wanted to be my story that, hey, we were good enough to beat David Gravel, but there's a backstory to it too. You know what I mean? To get back to that point was a lot more than just racing 20 years and finally winning a race, if you know what I mean.
Right.
100%.
But to me, does not add to the story, right? All of us around here, we know you've been around, give or take, maybe not full time, but everything you just mentioned, you battle back through all that, the broken back, the other stuff, and you go back and beat the Outlaws, and you beat David Gravel heads up. You were trading slide judge with him. That adds to the excitement level that we all saw in the infield that night and in the campground that night. It was wild, buddy. Beyond just climbing the fence, I don't think we went to bed at 4:30 in the morning without hearing TJF and Stutts in the campground. It was nuts. To me, that adds to the story.
Did I lose you guys?
No, you're good. Now you're in the back half of that, like you said. Does that not add to the story a little bit? What you went through?
I don't know if you can hear us.
Hey guys, did I lose you?
We still got you. Do you got us?
Hello. Test. You got it?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
You got it? Okay. No, yeah. Listen, we're just super appreciative as fans of what you did there. And just take a minute. Tell me about that race. Tell us about that race a little bit. Like, what was going through your mind? Did you know Gravel was there? Obviously, he slid you once, but kind of walk us through a little bit of the end of that race and what was going through your mind, and were you just kind of focused and saying, I got to hit my marks?
Well, I mean, let's face it. When you get down the backstretch at the Grove and you see the number 2 over and over and over again there, and it's not going away, you're just waiting to make one opportunity or let one opening for him to get to you, and you figure it's game over. So you gotta try to, in your mind, or in my mind, I was just trying to keep the mistakes to a minimum and try to do a little damage control and not give him opportunities to get back to us. And when he finally did fly us getting into 3, 2 things actually crossed my mind as he flew us and we drove back to him. I was like, boy, I'm in the wrong part of the racetrack. And I kind of had a little talk with myself that I needed to change stuff for the next lap. And then the other thing I did was, it was a little bit of realization that my car was as good as I thought it was. And then we got the lap cars and they were all running the top and trying to beat the curb down, which really, I mean, just solidified how good our car was on the bottom, and we were able to finally get away from him at the end. But that was just a fact of we were able to run a different line than he was.
Yeah, agreed. I saw you kind of peeling off the cushion a little bit, coming down, wing was back a little bit. Car looked super stable and under you. In a moment like that, when you said, hey, I realized how good my car was, like I thought it was. Have you ever had those moments where you thought the car was really good and someone just blows your doors off? And have you ever had those moments where
have you ever watched that thing drive by and you're like, wow, I thought I was really good and I'm not even in the same league with that thing. And it doesn't matter who's driving it. It don't matter if Pittman's driving it or Lance was driving it or even when Kreitz was still racing. It would drive by in certain situations and I was like, that's pretty amazing. But or even watch him drive by somebody else and you think, boy, they're really good. And I mean, that was so as far as ever feeling comfortable, I was so concentrated on what was going on with the lap cars and looking ahead to see where the next lap car was in comparison to where I was running. I wasn't even really paying attention to anything else. And I think we cleared the 6 car with 1 to go. And that was the first time I looked up at the flag stand. I was like, yeah, it's 1 to go. I was like, just hit your marks, run where you need to be. Maybe be a little defensive getting into 3 so he can't fly again. Or get a run on the top, and that was the first inkling that I had that we were even going to have an opportunity to be there. Because with David Gravel behind you, you're just waiting for him to get his run and do his job like he does every week in and out.
I think the whole world was, right? We watched that race and lap after lap. He was there. He never really went away, but we were all just kind of like, he's just biding his time maybe. And then as that race went on, we're like, oh, man, I think TJ's really freaking good right now in clean air and lap traffic and just really, really good. And those cars behind David, he wasn't really pulling away from them. Everybody was similar, but like you're just waiting for it, right? He's in attack mode at any time when he sees the opportunity. And man, when you turned back under and just drove away, it was, wow. We were all like, okay. We felt the same way you did. We're like, oh, okay, we're something here. Yeah. Jimmy, what do you got?
Let's talk.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing, like we struggled the beginning of Speed Week. We drew dead last for time trials. We were dead in our last in our half, and the first 4 or 5 nights it slowed down a second or half a second or whatever, and we were kind of screwed. And I know this probably comes from the money side of it more than anything. I struggle when we're starting 20th or when you've put yourself in a bad position with time trials or whatever. I struggle to drive up through and put myself in harm's way because the risk isn't worth the reward. The extra $500 you might make might cost us 10 grand, and we just don't have. And I'm not playing the crybaby or anything. It's just the facts of life. We have X amount of stuff and X amount of things to get us through the year. And if I'm shoved into the fence one extra time, that we might not get there to the end of the year. So, but we were at Hagerstown and we made some changes, and we were kind of in that same boat. We had run second. I think Logan beat us in the heat or something, and we were starting in that 10th or 11th, but we just kind of threw something at it, and we got better the rest of Speed Week. I said to the kids, I said, I think we're really kind of onto something here, and it's proven the fact. So it's funny how a bad night turns and a little bit of desperation can turn your whole year around.
Let's talk real quick about this past Friday. You went back-to-back weeks now at Williams Grove with a win. This one was a little bit different. You did kind of drive up a little bit, and then Jake Harkland, who was leading, but he ran out of fuel, or I think he ran out of fuel, right? And
Guy's still there.
You got, yeah, we got you. You got us.
I think you can only hear Jay-Z.
No, can you hear us?
Jay-Z, ask the question because I think he can only seemingly hear you.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
That's wild. I'm so sorry. So Jimmy was kind of talking about this past Friday where you did have to pass some cars, and it seemed to be a kind of a wild one. I was listening to the audio of this one. What was it like from your seat and the way that whole thing went down with fuel and passing cars and all the craziness that went on there?
Well, I didn't know the 5-car ran out of fuel. I mean, we had 7 gallons left, so I don't know really. Now we run a bigger tank at Williams Grove than we do anywhere else because some of the Outlaw shows they're like National Open weekend. It's 40 laps, so you got to be ready for that. But honestly, when Freddie and I beat on each other a little bit in the heat race, and it was. I don't want to say it wasn't an easy win, but that was like a first inkling that, hey, we're pretty good. Freddie was pretty good. And then him and I raced a couple times there, and then we got to the 39 car, and then we had that restart and all the melee of the restart, and it was kind of like the gates opened up, and we went to the bottom, and the Kirkland kid was out there in clean air gone. But the curb had started to get pretty treacherous, and he had hopped it a couple times, and I honestly thought he hopped the curb and broke something the way he had gone to the bottom. And then I come to find out afterwards he was run out of fuel and then was light. But he was when the curb on open air, it's pretty hard to pass and get away at the Grove.
Yeah, and I kind of heard this one, and I didn't see the 39, that deal. What happened with the 39 that allowed this to happen?
I don't know. He went down there and either twitched or hit there was a pretty good hole in the middle getting into one. When I went by, I could see the center part of his front wing going backwards up across the racetrack. So I didn't get to see the whole thing.
Yes.
All I got to see was the beginning of that, and we went down the backstretch and we were second.
So on the replay, Jeremy, it looked like Cody went down in the corner, laid over.
Some nights you'll
left.
have nights like that where everything just goes your way, and you might not have had the fastest car, but I mean, I didn't get to see the scales, but they said Kirkland was more than a little bit light, so I don't know if that was all fuel related. Like I said, we had 7 gallons left, so I don't know if they didn't fill up. I didn't even look at what the lap count was. I think we were on 55 on Saturday or on Friday night. I don't know how many laps we run around here under yellow though.
Yeah, and I think Cody Hartlaub, was starting to run out too, the 39. I think I heard a couple guys said that they were running out or just at the edge of it. So I had that question too, looking at it going, I know the air wasn't that great. So I don't think, the guy out front maybe using some more, but I didn't think the air was that good. They had to be up against the lap count.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm not on the gas enough. Maybe that's why we had 7 gallons left. I don't know.
Maybe it's okay. Maybe that's an okay
maybe
thing.
he's figured something out.
So,
hey, yeah, TJ, appreciate your time here. I won't hold you up. This is a big one for me, a question I ask all of our guests, and I'm really intrigued with your years of experience in 358s and 410s and all the tracks and things you've done. I need you to name me 2 drivers and somebody you love racing with, somebody who it's fun, you enjoy it for whatever reason, and somebody who's a pain in your ass to race with, not necessarily that you dislike this human, but just a race car driver that you struggle racing with. They're hard to pass. They're whatever the reason. No, you don't have to offend anyone, but one of each.
Probably all the years that I raced, probably the person I had the most fun racing, and we've actually, and some of it's because we're good friends. But I mean, if you look at the 358 days or the 360 days at Williams Grove, Heimbach and I probably had more chances to do onto each other than any 2 people should. And I don't think we've ever touched wheels. And I think that just becomes a respect thing. Now, for some reason, we don't get to race as much together in the 410s as we did in the 358, 360 days. But when you start 11th or 12th every week at Selinsgrove and you'd have to drive up through. You put yourself and you put the people around you in a lot of positions to do dumb things, and we always seem to let each other get away with it. I don't know if there's anybody. I'm not. Let's put it this way: I'm not on the Freddie Danny Dietrich thing where they hate each other that bad and absolutely hate to race with each other. I think there's people that are smarter to race with. I always give old man Wagner, a little bit of crap. I say he has radar because he is always where you want to be, and he knows it, and he's very, very good at it. But he doesn't steer at you. I can't.
That's the perfect answer, honestly.
I can't say there's anybody that I absolutely come to and it's like, oh my God, I got to deal with this guy. Not in today's current racing conditions. There was a couple 358 guys that I absolutely dreaded. There was a Flamer and a couple other guys that, I mean, they would crash you just to look at you. So
I know a few of those names over the years at Lincoln, watching all the 358 days. There was a few of them that I don't know how they still have equipment left or money to buy any equipment at this point, all the years. So there are definitely a few of those names. No, I appreciate it so much. Typically, Chris asks this question, and for whatever reason, you can't hear those guys. So
nope.
I'm going to steal Chris's question. One race, any division, any car, any track, one race you could win, what would it be?
I think I already did it. Now,
Done.
I always wanted to win an outlaw show. I've always thought, and especially with someone, I don't like to talk about it, but I have not been. The last 5 years have been a struggle. They've been a struggle, and I didn't realize they were a struggle until it started to come out of it, and I was like, oh, it's really just been me. It's not been the cars. It's not been the motors. It was just me. And I wanted, but winning an outlaw show just kind of puts a mark on it that it wasn't a wasted 5 years, that it was worthwhile, and we got back to where we needed to be. Tuscarora 50, National Open, they would be huge. As long as Port Royal doesn't have the curve or the wall where you got to beat down the fence, I think there's nights where we have a good opportunity there. We can drive up through. It seems like here the last little bit of my last year or so, we've been a lot better when it starts to get black and slick. So, like I said, the National Open and the Tuscarora 50 are probably my two. I mean, we used to go to Eldora. We're not this year due to work stuff. We got some work drama. I just can't get away. But like Knoxville, to make the show at Knoxville would be a big deal. To make one of the big shows at Eldora would be a big deal. But I'm a guy that we just live at home. You know what I mean? If I could win the National Open or I could win the Tuscarora 50, there's not very much else in your career that you could highlight anything other than those two. Let's face it, they're not the Tuscarora 50 isn't the Tuscarora 50 of 15 years ago either. It's pretty star-studded now.
For sure. It's not just a local show, right? And it's good and bad, I think, all around.
Jeremy, I have a question for you, Jeremy, to ask. Selinsgrove Outlaw Show. Ask him what that would be like.
No.
Yeah. So, what would it mean to you, Chris? This is from Chris. What would it mean to you to win the Outlaw Show at Selinsgrove later this year?
People might think it's a little rigged. No,
that's fair.
Let's face it, my kids and the ex-wife or whatever. I got to support my kids, and the ex-wife probably gets a little more out of that, but they get some flack. To win there, I've won 410 shows there. I've won a track championship. I've won the 360 National Open, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. Creasy and I can't ever remember how many times we actually won it. It would mean a lot to win it at a place where has meant so much to me and to my family over the years. It is absolutely huge. I'm not going to lie to you. Do I feel I'm a little behind the 8 ball when we go there every time? Absolutely, because my most important part of my crew, not that Mr. Plank and everything he does for me is great, and Rusty and the Hockenberry family, they all step up when we go to Selinsgrove, but I'm missing a pretty key component, and that's my boys. And they have other opportunities or other jobs when we go to Williams Grove, and even the nights where they're not there at Port Royal, it definitely doesn't make my deal better, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that makes 100% sense. Looking forward to that show for sure. Go ahead, Jimmy. Or Jimmy has a question for you. One second.
Quick question. Does he plan on going to Clinton County this weekend? That's all.
Oh, is Clinton County in your schedule this weekend? If anyone gets there.
Plank actually, I texted him today to ask him. I think that is his plan. He actually called me earlier, and I was out trying to cut some trees up that fell in the yard from the big storms over the weekend. So I didn't get to talk to him yet, but I do believe that is his plan to go there. So I'll be in the 11T, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I've never been up there. I'm looking forward to getting up there, and hopefully it works out because it's the perfect weekend for me to get up there and check this place out. And it sounds like there's going to be a decent car count. So definitely excited for that, and good money on the line. So
yeah, I like them little places. That it's a shame that we don't get to go to Path Valley more. That is absolutely one of the coolest, intense places. Circle someplace in 9 seconds in a 410. That's getting it.
Yeah, I agree. I think the whole world does, and I don't know what's holding us back from that from that place putting on more 410 shows. I don't know what it needs or what we need to do, but some sort of petition. I don't know. Maybe we need to raise some.
Move it closer to civilization might help.
That definitely is part of it for sure. Hey, I appreciate your time, man. This is way longer than I thought. I appreciate you taking so much time with us. Shout out some of your sponsors and people that help you get up and down the road. Keep the car on the racetrack.
Well, listen, we got to start with the product people, because don't get me wrong, the money people are very important, but the reason that we can race with the World of Outlaws is because of the people that build the products and support us. Stevie Smith, he actually the week we won the Outlaw show, he had just sent us some new brake stuff, and it's pretty phenomenal. We run it the last 2 weekends here, and I think we've won 2 out of 3 on it. So shout out to him and Nick and all the things that they do for me is just above and beyond. And Bobby from Winners Performance, Matt Hummel from FK Indy, Dan from Maxim, like the Ryan family, the Wings and stuff. There's just so much technology that's gotten into our race cars right now that the local guys, it's very hard if you don't have good people around you on that side to be able to keep up with those guys. And then, of course, my mom and Mountain View Travel and her whole deal, that's a huge part of what we do. The whole Bruner family, that's the Village Square. The high-tech thing is the Eschenauer family, kind of incognito. That's their metal business, but that's who I work for. And the freedoms I get at work, plus what they do for me on the metal side of it, I mean, it's just those are some huge things. Most businesses don't allow you to live the schedule I do. An Eschenauer family, I can't thank them enough for doing that. And the only other one I got is Rodaball does a lot for me. That Fine Line Auto Body on there. Jake Rodaball has been a racer for a long time, and he supports the pits probably more than most of the fans realize. And there's not too many people like him that do the things that they do for as many race teams as they do. So I just think the whole crowd should support him a little more for everything he does for PA. The other one is all my body stuff comes from my friend Billy Smith. He builds all that 717 composite stuff. That all of that is just, people don't understand. It's every little piece and every little person that builds those pieces is what keeps those race teams going.
No, yeah. You mentioned Jake Rodaball, and I hear his name come up over and over and over again with Fine Line. The show's friends with Kyle Keene, and him and Kyle have a relationship, and he's on Kyle's car, and Jake just shows up, and he shows up, and he shows up, whether it's helping on someone's car or a sponsorship, or I see him at the racetrack with guys. He's definitely there's a lot of guys in the industry like that, but he's one that continues to pop up on my radar in random places that I don't even realize. And you're right. I think he's a guy that definitely could use more exposure and, support those who support racing. So whatever we can do to support Jake and Fine Line.
Well,
as
and
fans,
I'll tell you the other
should.
one that doesn't get enough kudos is Sandy Klein. I mean, that whole Warrior Award thing at Port Royal, the money that she puts into the additional purses. I mean, let's face it, she could have a 410 sprint car team and be very successful, but instead she's chosen to sponsor the whole field. I mean, there's not too many people that understand the sport as a whole. And I know this is probably going to sound ignorant, but one thing that I've learned from the kids having the racetrack is the sides of the fences are very compartmentalized. What the fans see compared to what the racers see, compared to what the racetracks see, compared to what the racetrack employees see, they don't see very well over the fences in some cases. And I don't think Sandy Klein gets enough kudos for what she does for the pits to keep the race teams going.
Agreed, 100%. We mentioned what was was it the Hodnet?
Yeah.
At Port showed up. Once she showed up, they announced the winnings that weekend.
Yes.
Bumped it up. That was unbelievable. I mean, that didn't get the press it deserved nationally. We obviously made our rounds here locally, and we talked about it here on the show. But again, the Warrior Award and all the other things that she does that she doesn't have to do. Especially, Jim, right? Yeah, Jim passed, and she doesn't have to do that, and could just as easily just kind of walk away and fade into the mist a little bit. But man, you're 100% right on that.
Yeah, and I mean for the local teams, $1,000 doesn't seem like much, but it goes
a long way.
It takes a lot of people 40 hours a week to make $1,000, and that's basically fuel and tires for a weekend anymore. Or in some weekends, it doesn't need $1,000, doesn't cover a tire bill for a night.
Yeah, 100% right. Anything else on your mind you want to talk about? I don't want to hold you up, but
that's it, guys. I'm sorry I kind of took over, but I appreciate you guys having me on.
No, we would listen. I want to sit here and listen all night. I'll listen to you guys. We have a lot of young guys on, right? I don't know if you were just watching. We had Brock Hammaker on. He's 18. He has 4 races under his belt in a sprint car. We get a lot of that. We want to talk to young guys and bring them up. And I've tried to get Ethan on here. I guess he don't like to talk, but or he doesn't answer his text messages. Maybe a little bit of both. But the veteran guys, we learn. I learn so much. There's so much that again, like you just said, I'm a fan of it. I might sit in the infield and take pictures and see some things, but there's a lot of things I still don't see as a fan. So I appreciate the comments and your view of it as a guy who's been around a little bit and involved in this sport very deeply. So thank you so much for your time.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on.
No problem. Have a great night.
Thank you, TJ.
Thanks.
That was awesome. First of all, glad we kind of got worked through it and got what we did. But we never had that happen before, where the person could only hear one person. And I'm glad that you stumbled upon that, Chris, because
it was mostly because once I was talking and he didn't answer, and then you were talking, and he's like, "Hey, you lost me." Kind of pieced it together. He could only hear one guy.
I didn't. Yeah. I was like, "Hello."
No,
and he goes,
the voice of T2T, Jeremy Zarfox.
Yeah. I guess. Turns out it was.
So that's something that we got to keep in mind. I couldn't rotate him. That's something he would have to do on his end. So it's
fine.
The software that we're using here is great, but it's a little limited. So
we're absolutely amateurs at this. Don't anyone think that we're good at this. So
I think the cool thing is this. So my takeaways real quick. Sideways, can't hear Jimmy and I. Doesn't matter. What TJ was saying was very important. It was very interesting. It was very cool. It's the first time we've had as of 2 weeks ago, a War of Outlaw winner here, back-to-back Williams Grove Speedway winner, and just how he's speaking. Like, it's a different kind of guy. He's been around for a while, but there's a story there, and I would hope we can bring him back in the offseason and really dive into the whole story, because there's so much there. This is a career year for him.
There's a lot there.
But, like, there's a reason why everyone's like, TJ Stutts has been around forever. Like he said, he's been racing for 20 years and only has 4 wins. Like, but there's more to it. Like, I would love to hear more to it. And some of that's me being Williams Grove every week. I know the name. You just kind of assume the guy's won everywhere. But like, he's just been there, and he's been competitive for so many years. And I would love this offseason.
The first World of Outlaw winner, did Brent Marks never win an Outlaw race?
I meant
recently.
Yeah, Brent Marks, Freddie Raymer, they've won, sure.
Okay.
But like, it was just 2 weeks ago he won a World of Outlaws race, and then he backs it up with another win. He's here. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Taking the energy away from Summer Nationals that we watched with our own eyes in the campground, and then have him here is kind of cool. And then I don't know, there's a lot more there, and I would love to hear about it in the off season and have him back again, because DJ's just one of those guys. Like, There's a reason why these guys were climbing the fence. There's a reason why the whole infield grandstand campground was TJ F and Stutts for 12 and a half hours after his win that Friday morning cup. So like this, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Everything about that was great. None of the other shit that he couldn't hear, it didn't work out. I don't care. That was awesome. That was
great.
That's one of them. That's going to go down as one of my favorites. I appreciate, he's like I said at the beginning, he's not a guy who you see a lot out there in social media at all. Maybe, I don't even know. Certainly not, doing tons and tons of interviews and, not an overly emotional guy. When you see him walking around the pits, he doesn't show a lot of emotion there that you can see. Maybe we don't follow enough, but obviously there's a lot of thoughts, and he has a lot of thoughts about the industry and the people and what's going on, and that's just great insight and point of view from
really,
a guy that we don't hear from a lot.
My question is, to that point, I don't follow Wing Nation close enough. Was he on Wing Nation like all the other winners?
I don't think so.
Shame on them
Maybe
if that's not the case.
Maybe he was. I could be wrong.
Because I used to follow it all the time, but they get everyone on and wins a big race. That seems like someone that Wing Nation MRN should have reached out to, and if he wasn't, shame on them.
Yeah,
if he was, and then maybe shame on me for not knowing. Steve Post's a good guy.
Logan Schuhart, Dale Blaney, Logan Wagner, Rico, Donnie, Gravel, Cody Jacobs, Terry McCarl, and Jamie Ball. So Gravel and Cody Jacobs, which my guess would be that would have been like maybe he wasn't available, work, whatever, because Cody Jacobs is Gravel's crew chief. So they had them both on that same day.
Shame on you, Wing Nation. I don't care what your excuses.
Colin here says Eschenauer hires some great race car drivers, Logan Spar and TJ Stutts.
Yeah. Logan Spar drives that 305 is the Eschenauer car, that number 5.
Yeah, he's pretty decent.
Yeah, he does all right.
He does good.
Okay.
He's okay.
Don't tell him.
He only wins 80% of the time.
So let's move on real quick. We'll just recap the past week and we'll get into what is coming up this week. Obviously, we just talked to TJ a little bit about his win this past Friday. He gets to win over Freddie Raymer and Troy Wagaman. Jake Karklin led pretty much this whole thing until about 2 or 3 to go when he ran out of fuel. And then he was light at the scales. He ended up being 14th. He was trying to hold on to 3rd, I believe, but ends up getting DQ'd and scored 14th. Matt Campbell 4th, Cam Smith 5th. Any other thoughts outside of what TJ did there on this race on Friday?
I mean, I watched the highlights. Heartbreak for Jake Karklin.
Yeah.
You hate to see it, and it just kind of spiraled. He crossed the line 3rd, light the scales, helps our buddy Troy out, but you hate to see that because fast race car, but you gotta make weight and have fuel in the car. Those 2 things are kind of important.
Ethan Stutts also made the start.
Did see that.
He was in the plank car, so that was interesting. That was pretty cool. The 358 race. Sorry, Preston Latimus wins over Seth Schnokey and Derek Locke, Dylan Norris, and Chase Gutshaw. There for the 358s.
All right, hold on.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about this for a second. Preston Latimus, second 358 win back-to-back weekends. He won at BAPS the weekend before.
That's true. Yeah.
Wins at Williams Grove. Seth Schnokey, won the B main, wrecked on lap 1, came back and ran second. He went through the whole field. Do you know who the cars he passed?
Yeah, he passed a lot of cars.
He passed a lot of them.
Yeah, all of them but one, and he almost had a shot at it with the yellow coming out.
Austin Reed was in the X. Frankie
Reed
Herr, Logan Rumsey, Chris Frank.
Yeah,
the interesting thing to me. So take away from not just that event, but the season. So like that puts Derek Locke's a new points leader over Doug Hammaker by 10, and Logan Rumsey sneaking up 40 back in the summer series points. It's interesting.
Yeah,
that's my takeaways from that.
Yeah.
Brad Weatherby says
that sounded like quite an entertaining 350.
$15 to get in and just not the turnout I expected. I noticed that watching it on Dirt Vision. I think the weather had a little bit to play. It rained really hard earlier in the day, if I remember. And I think it was kind of, it was pretty hot. So it was pretty hot. So I
There's
don't know
two
if that had
things.
anything to do with it, but
It's
it
the
was it was
weather.
fan appreciation night too.
It's the weather, and you're coming off back-to-back War of Outlaw nights.
Yes.
It's to be expected. I'm sure Williams Grove isn't excited about it, but I don't think I don't think they're surprised. You see that when they come off the Speed Week shows and things like that. Anyone, Port Royal, Lincoln, same thing.
And
Back
it
to
was the
back
same.
$35, $40 nights.
Mhm.
Questionable weather. You can make
Well,
that $10. It doesn't change much.
It wasn't just that. It was look at some of the 410s. They had 23 410s. Lucas Wolf didn't make the start, but you had to get to that. You had Ricky Dieva, Ricky Peterson Jr. making his debut in the 98. Matt Miller, Troy Fraker, just to name a few, and Ethan Stutts. So Nash Ely, Bryn Gone, were
Kyle
a couple
Keene was
others
back,
hops in.
right?
Kyle Keene. So yeah, outside of the regulars there, it took some names that we're not used to seeing or haven't seen in a while to get there. So
That late summer stretch, a weekly show.
yeah,
Some big
it's
names
gonna happen.
Big names going west.
Yep.
Danny, the 69K, whatever that's worth. Macri, they all went west.
Gordon's
for
out with
Knoxville.
injury and stuff. So
Gordon's out.
And Moody's,
so
Moody's out with injury.
Moody's out.
Moody too.
So, but it's just late in the season. You have wear and tear on people, equipment, and there's a lot of big shows coming up. Billy Dietrich had that video come out. Coming here 2 weeks, August 17th, the Dream Race Port Royal. That basically starts a mini month of money here.
Yep.
Dream Race straight
That
into
starts it. It's like a
all of
soft
it.
kickoff.
And then you go right into the Lincoln 2-day show at We Should Be There Classic. Then you have Labor Day Classic, Tuscarora 50, Stevens Grove National Open, Williams Grove National Open. The teams that are local, they have to kind of take a break somewhere.
Yep. Daniel Lee says Carkland's win is coming in the future. Seth Schnoke has been passing cars in the back all year. I've been calling the shot on Jake Carkland. I thought it was going to happen. Well, first he wasn't in the 35. He was in his 5, which I love that paint scheme, man. It was so cool. I love seeing that car out on the track. And to see him, I don't want to say run better than he was in the 35, but it was just kind of a surprise. And he looked fast. He looked fast in it last year too. And yeah, I think his win's coming. He's gonna learn some things here. Maybe to put enough fuel in it. but
again, he wasn't alone. But yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think it's coming as well. And Santos says was a badass track though, not for nothing. So yeah, it was. I love when it has a curb and it's pretty technical up there. It's fun to watch. Let's go to, I guess, Ironman 55 real quick. Kyle Larson sweeps the weekend, including Friday night, a hellacious 21st to first run and a photo finish over James McFadden at the line. Pretty wild race. And then the next day he comes from 12th to 1st in 55 laps and pretty much mops the field all weekend. Coming right into the biggest week of the year.
How fitting.
Yeah, right?
We've
all of a
asked
sudden
him
he
for
found
6
speed.
months. Where is Kyle Larson?
All of a sudden he found speed again.
We found him. Kyle Larson from the B main. Started 3rd, wins. Then he had some help, that lap car there on Friday night. And then Donnie Schatz, 2nd again. Where was David Gravel? I don't actually know.
David Gravel was 6th on Saturday and 7th on Friday.
Wow, he's gone cold. I'm kidding, everyone. He's gone cold. First time not in an Outlaw podium in a month. Wild.
Jay-Z, you have any thoughts from that?
Larson is the GOAT. Plain and simple. He can take the time off. He can have a few not well. He was just ripping through the field. I don't care what happened to McFadden in a lap car. He's the freaking GOAT. He took advantage of it. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And there you go. You got to be there to have a shot at it. And he was in the perfect position by a few feet to get the job done. It is what it is. That's I-55. That's lap cars. That's big time auto racing. He's running third. We're not talking about that. We're talking about McFadden winning it. So,
right.
Can't call it luck when you go from 21st to second to even
Yeah.
be in that
Not
spot,
luck.
to your point.
Right. And he is the GOAT. Get off my nuts.
He's looking at you, Craig Dunn.
Like I don't even know if I like him sometimes because of some of the bullshit the last couple of years. But how can we deny it at this point? Just jump in anything and go race it and win it. NASCAR champion, World of Outlaws, late
could have won
models.
the
It
Indy
doesn't matter.
500.
Indy 500. Like
He was
stop
definitely
it.
the top 5 car,
and his career's not even close to over. So
Yeah.
let's just call it what it is and enjoy it while you have it. The haters can hate.
Yeah.
Craig. Kerry Madsen's not the GOAT either. You're wrecked. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Brock Zierfoss Friday night, he was running third or fourth and breaks with a couple laps left. He was having a really good run. He runs well. I-55 ran up there. Another person that had a really good run, Jesse Adard, made the trip out there. 24th to 17th on Friday night, and then he also went 21st to 11th on Saturday night. So pretty impressive, to be honest.
Sure.
He's been showing some speed here this year. First time back out here in a few years, and has shown that he's learned some stuff and gained a little bit of speed. And then Kelby Watt is another one. He got 12th on Friday night and 17th on Saturday night, but it's making the features, running well, pretty impressive. 360 Nationals, real quick. Tyler Courtney wins that over Emerson Axum, Austin McCarroll, Brian Brown, and Corey Eliason were your top 5. I think really, though, the storyline from this was Emerson Axum. He was high point guy. He looked really good. He led a lot of that feature. And just, Tyler Courtney's going to do Tyler Courtney things. So Emerson Axum's definitely a guy that just keeps upping his profile here in a wing sprint car.
For sure.
And then the Capitani Classic last night, Rico Abreu wins over Gio Scelzi, Carson Macedo. Darren Pittman in the 69K looked really, really good out there. He finishes 4th, and Brad Sweet in 5th. Any thoughts from that?
Just Darren Pittman again, jumps in the car. And now, historically speaking, we've seen the 69K go to Knoxville with the legend Lance Deweese and not look that good comparatively to what Darren Pittman did last night. So hopefully it's a sign of things to come. I mean, we've seen him make the A-main. We've seen him be semi-competitive, but Darren Pittman looked like a race-winning car except Rico, and he was 1-1 last night. So that's interesting to me. Darren Pittman just keeps impressing me in that car, and I think the more they race together, the better off he is. He's showing up I think I saw he raced 8 races this year so far. He just led laps in a field of 82 cars, finished 4th. The dude's raced 8 races. That's crazy. To me, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think somebody mentioned in like a Discord or something about, watching they're there and watching the 69K roll the bottom and how good it was, and we're like, yeah, no shit. That's what we've been telling you all for years. Like, no shit. Y'all think it's a joke and you think we're just blowing it up, like we haven't been seeing this for decades. But yeah,
TJ Stutts just solidified that too in his interview.
Right.
Like, yeah, I got a good race car. And it's like, what was that? It's a blue and orange blur. But I think that combination, right? Pittman's got a lot of laps at Knoxville over the years, and he's around a great knowledge. Team. All his interviews, man, he's just super pumped to be a part of that deal. And they don't mess around. That 69K team, they're not doing this as a vacation to go to the Midwest and Iowa in the middle of summer. They're there for a purpose, and they want to get it done. So certainly excited as posse people, posse member, posse something or whatever we are, to see what the week holds. But it's a very difficult week. It only gets harder. We thought 82 cars and running 4th was hard. That hasn't even started yet. Now it's going to be you time trial well, and you got to go past a bunch of cars. So versus time trialing well and ending up in a heat and ending up in a feature at the front. Very, very different world. And who can pass cars, not just time well to get the points, but then go past the cars. And listen, fact is fact. There's not been every year that track is ready and set up for everybody to get that invert and go past cars. A few can do it. A lot don't. We'll see.
Yep.
Just it is what it is. It's all the same for everyone. But you got to set yourself up to be near the front of that Knoxville field. Yes, we've seen guys come from the back, but it's pretty difficult to do. You need to be in the front half of that field at the beginning of that race somewhere. That's my opinion, but super excited to see what the week holds.
Yeah, so let's get into that, right? Knoxville Nationals start Wednesday. Wednesday night, there's 55 cars on Wednesday night, a couple notables. Jacob Allen, David Gravel. Let's see who else here. Brent Marks, Cole Macedo, Danny Dietrich will be there on Wednesday. Aaron Reitzel, Buddy Colfoyd, Corey Day, Justin Peck, Donnie Schatz. Just kind of looking at that here. And then on Thursday night will be 53 cars. So there's 108 entered. Thursday night, a couple notables, obviously Kyle Larson, Rico Abreu, Zeb Wise, Emerson Axum, Spencer Baston, Tyler Courtney, Brad Sweet. I'm just kind of Darren Pittman will be on Thursday night.
True. Thursday. I mean, not that Wednesday's but Thursday. Holy shit.
Yeah, there's more cars on Wednesday, but it seems like more of the heavy hitters are on Thursday.
And I want to say Carini said 6 of the top 7 at the Cappy are all on Thursday night.
Yeah.
And that's not counting Schuhart and
Larson. Macedo. Man. Yeah. Austin McCarroll, who's been a factor there. So who are we looking at maybe like as our top 3 favorites here for Knoxville? It's tough to take it down to 3, but I think
so top 3 favorites and a dark horse?
Yeah, let's do that. Top 3
dark
favorites
horse and or your heart pick?
Sure.
So my favorites for me, David Gravel, Rico Abreu, Donnie Schatz. And then my dark horse.
Go Darren Pittman.
No, I'm gonna go Brent Marks.
Oh.
Brent Marks is my dark horse heart pick because he's like Jeremy, you mentioned the other day, he's a top 6 car, but he's the kind of guy that finds the spot and gets he can pass cars. So if he starts 10th to 15th in that feature on Saturday, he could drive forward. We've seen him do it. We've seen him do it a couple years now. But favorites, I don't know how you go against Rico, Gravel, and Schatz in whatever order you want to put them in currently.
Man, this is difficult. I can't argue with your top 3 there, but I have more dark horse and heart picks than anything else because those 3 are certainly it. I think dark horse is – I'm going to give you more. I don't care what the rules are, but I think it's got to be dark horse, Tyler Courtney. I'm not going to count out Brad Sweet until he's not there. Kyle Larson, is he going to run it all? Can he run it all?
Yeah, he can run it all.
Right. So he'll figure it out. I'm putting Darren Pittman in dark horse. My heart picks is Brent Marks. Brent doesn't have the statistics to this point to back up for me putting him in dark horse. He can pass cars, just hasn't gotten the whole week put together yet at Knoxville. Mainly qualifying and heat area has been the issue. Didn't have a great night last night in both qualifying laps and after. So obviously I'm going to root for Brent. Pretty obvious. But the dark horse crowd for me is so big. Like Aaron Reitzel, how could you not put him in a dark horse? Right? He's so good. Brian Brown. Right? So Reitzel, Brown, Sweet, Courtney.
Okay.
And you're muted. So
who is? Yeah.
Chris was.
I don't know how you muted yourself. There you go.
I unplugged it by accident when I moved my mic. My heart pick is Brian Brown, beyond all, because I think if he won, it'd be the coolest thing for him and for Knoxville people and whatever else. But
okay, Jimmy.
My top 3 are gonna be Larson, Gravel, and I'm kind of back and forth between Rico and Schatz. I think, but they're kind of like 3A and 3B. They're right there. But I think it's going to be more of the Larson versus Gravel show, to be honest. My dark horse, one of my dark horses is Giovanni Scelzi. He's been good at Knoxville. He was pretty good there last year. He's been good there every time he runs. He was good last night. I think he's definitely a guy to watch that, if things go right, he can do it. There's a lot of really fast cars, really, really fast guys there. But it does seem to come down to the more veteran guys that win this race. You don't see too many like young guys that only have 2 or 3 seasons, 4 seasons under their belt that win this. But I think if there is somebody that could do it, it'd be Gio Sozzi. Another guy to watch out for. I'm interested to see how Emerson Axum does here. He really impressed with the 360 Nationals. Let's see what happens when he throws in the 410. And
since Jimmy mentioned it, I don't know what you said, Jimmy. Are we just gonna skip over Corey Day? He's a young guy.
Yeah,
he's a young guy. Yeah. If you're in Selzy, I mean, Corey Day is the guy that I could see just wheeling it. But to your point, in my opinion, Knoxville's veteran because technical and finesse a little bit. The back half of that feature.
You really, really got to put Carson Macedo in there too. He should probably be a top 5 favorite. To be honest,
You're not wrong.
He should be in that, but I just don't see it. But I think he'll be in the. Yeah, I think he'll be in the mix. And my heart picks James McFadden, just because I'm wearing this shirt. I don't really have a heart pick. My heart pick is not David Gravel.
Fair enough. I mean, my true heart picks: Brent Marks, Pittman, Brownie, and I think we go Brownie, Pittman, Marks in that order, just because TikTok, 2 of those guys have a really short shelf life. One, how many more shots they realistically have. But
speaking of shots, what do you guys think of the paint scheme?
I like it.
Gold rims would make that thing pop.
Gold rims would make it pop, but even if it doesn't, it's still great.
Yeah, it still looks cool.
Yeah,
those gold, gold glistens.
I don't like Gravel's camo scheme. I can't get down with it. I'm not a fan.
It's mid for me. I like Cy Lynch's car.
Cy Lynch's car is
the red, like a red chrome in there. That it's a little bit. It's subtle, but it's there. It's clean. I dig that. I mean, I'm sure there's more to be debuted or coming out here in the next day or so.
The 41 and the 17, Macedo and Haudenschild, they always have really good looking cars usually for the Nationals. So I'm interested to see what happens there.
Same. I feel like the 17, they got to do something different, right? They've kind of used it up, I think, in the combinations. What are they going to bring to the table? I'm excited for it because I don't think they could do it wrong. I think they should do green or something. One of the flavors, didn't NOS one of the flavors green?
That's what I think.
Lime green.
Yeah.
My favorite Sheldon car was the red one.
What's the color of the no sugar? What's the color of that can?
I think it's like almost kind of the same, but it's like it has black lettering on it.
Let me take a look. Oh yeah, sure. It's the blue with the zeros in orange, NOS's in black.
That lime green one, though, they do that could work.
It would
that
be.
Could be
That's my favorite. That's my favorite NOS flavor.
Because my favorite one was that red one, and they don't make that one anymore.
No, they don't.
They make a gray can, a flat gray can with 0 is orange and NOS is white.
Yeah, I don't think
I see that. I just searched NOS 0.
The grape one's pretty good.
The Google machine, and that's what I came up with.
A couple of fan picks here. Brad Weatherby says Rico Pittman shots. His dark horse is Macri. I think Macri will have I think he'll be like. I think he's going to have a good week. But I see him being like a 10th to 15th place guy. But at Knoxville, man, if he's a 10th to 15th place guy in the A main at the Knoxville Nationals, you're doing great, buddy. I mean, that's you're still one of the best in the country. Then
if he starts,
and that's kind of where I see him. Santos says Larson, Rico, Gravel, dark horse. Heart pick is Sheldon Haudenschild. I don't see Sheldon being a factor. He just doesn't run very well at Knoxville, but you never know.
You never know. That's why it's Knoxville.
But I like those. Favorites. Dave says the 41, the 2, and the 15. Dark horse, the 14, and his heart pick is the 24. So Macedo, Gravel, shots. Corey Day, the dark horse, and Rico, the heart pick. Those are pretty good ones. Yeah.
Craig Dunn, his pick is Knoxville baby, so I don't know what that means, but
his pick is probably Kerry Matson because he's an Australian and he loves him so much.
Yeah, I did hear that.
I did hear that.
Right from the kangaroo's mouth.
Gary here.
Anything else from Knoxville coming up this week that you guys are you looking for?
It's a fun week. Can't wait to watch it.
Yeah. So that'll be happening Wednesday through Saturday. Here locally, nothing racing on Friday 410 wise. Big Diamond was supposed to run 410s, but with the rain last week, they pulled 410s off the card this week, which I thought was an interesting move. Saturday, though, Lincoln is still running 410s. And like we were talking about with TJ before, Clinton County, which we're all pretty stoked to get to. I think there'll be a good car count. There's a lot of contingency, a lot of different awards up for grab. There's money for, and this is how awesome this track is because you can do this, is you have 305, best top finishing 305, top finishing 358, top finishing 360 on top of the 410 money. And then a bunch of others. If the weather stays nice, which right now, who knows what's going to happen. We're supposed to get hit pretty hard with rain
Debbie.
here. Yeah, we're going to get railed by Debbie. So hopefully it pushes out of here. That Saturday is nice, not just for racing, but we have our softball tournament too.
Debbie does PA.
Both Rutherford Motorsports cars are going. There's been a lot of kind of surprising. I know Dale Blaney's making the trip out. There is money for the longest haul out. So yeah, the Knoxville Nationals are going on, but there's still racing going on locally here. If the weather's nice and everything, definitely make the trip up to Clinton County. I'm telling you, it's worth it. I'm excited for it.
Dale Blaney, defending champion of this race, and he's on the beer can. Last year, Billy Dietrich was on the beer can because he is champion 2 years ago for the Phil Walter Classic. Dale Blaney walked him in a day show last year, so see how it goes.
Yeah, hopefully it happens. I'm excited to get up there. It's the time. It's time. So we'll already be in that part of the country. Longest haul. Maybe I'll get that bonus. But Jesus,
I do not think you will.
Long day, but looking forward to it. Hopefully we can get all the events in.
Yeah, hopefully. Craig Dunn, real quick. His picks are Donnie, Gravel, Sunshine, and his dark horse is Geo. I can't argue that. That's smart picks, Craig Dunn.
First thing he said all day.
First smart thing he said all day. Clinton County is a nice track. Seems like it'll be an exciting race. They do get the race in, says Mandy.
They're doing the foot race at Oski. They're
doing
that again?
I have it kind of up over here on the
same.
side here.
Dude, that'd smoke them though.
Chris thinks he would win every single one of these.
Him. Absolutely. Right. Brad's got my back, baby.
Let's go into drink it and dump it to wrap this up.
Yeah. Let's get this done.
Who wants to go first? I'll go first. I'm going to drink it to TJ Stutts 2 in a row at Williams Grove. Awesome run he's having this year. Things are starting to click together for him and for coming on the podcast. And then I'm going to dump it out for Jake Karklin for running out of fuel there. Chris, JZ?
I know Chris won't have mine, so I'll go. My drink and dump it are combined into the same sort of situation. I'm going to drink it to Ron Rutherford, and I'm going to dump it to Jaden Wolf.
Such a bitch.
No way. There's no way we're going to take that.
Yeah, I was going to say drink it to Ron Rutherford for that, but go ahead. You got it.
So if y'all don't follow 358s, most of you in here do. All 3 people might be watching, but Jaden Wolf in the points hunt for the Lincoln Speedway 358 championship, he blew up this past, or was it Williams Grove?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Lincoln. Blew up at Lincoln, but he's in the points hunt. That was going to put him out for the season. Ron Rutherford offered to let him borrow their 358. They have an extra one, so he could finish out his season, at least have an attempt to finish out the season in points. So shout out Ron Rutherford. Again, I made a little post, I think, either on my personal page or my racing page. Racers helping racers. Mama's Pizza Wellsville. Go up and go get a sub and get some fries or the pretzel bowly. I don't give a shit. Go support it. Support his deal and what they got going on. And who was that? Was that Corey Day?
No, Parker Price Miller.
PPM just smoked them as fast as he's ever gone. Anyway, yeah, that's my drink and dump it. So shout out Ron and dump it for Jaden, right? Some bad luck.
Yeah.
You got the tore up a car a bunch of weeks back. Had a good season going. He really has had a good season going. Got a win this year. Really good positive momentum. So it didn't need that to happen, but hopefully a good result from an unfortunate circumstance.
Chris? Y'all took my stuff. I want to dump it out to Mike Walter. Tough break. He had a weird start Friday night and then ended up junking the car.
Who?
Correct. Mike Walter.
Yeah. Wagner?
Walter.
Wagner? Walter.
Yeah,
you got
definitely,
it.
Definitely
Sorry,
Walter,
sir.
buddy. Hate that for him. He's been so fast. Been in a lot of positions to get a win, to get that first win. It's coming. Whether it be that 33 or the 77. He'll get it, but you hate to see that. And then drink it. Aaron Pittman making it exciting. You gotta do it. Didn't get the win, but made it exciting. So I'm here for that.
Go to a couple fan ones here. Santos says, drink it to TJ going back to back. Dump it for Adard flipping, coming to the checkers at I-55. I forgot about that. Yeah, he had a good run and then was flipping at the end. Randy says, drink it to TJ. Dump it to Rain. Brad Weatherby says, drink it to TJ. Preston, Ron Rutherford. Dump it to McFadden. Hard wreck. Glad he's okay. And also getting beat at the line by Larson last week. That's like 2 or 3 now this
Second
year.
or third time, yeah.
He won 1 but lost 2 right at the line. Pretty nuts. Steph says, dump it for Mother Nature. Mandy says, drink it. TJ Stutts for an awesome season and 3 wins. Larson for an insane run. Dump it. Kirkland, the weather, heat, humidity, and all the rain. Also, Lucas Wolf on Friday night, but as a fan, I'm kind of biased. That was a fun show, guys.
Yeah. Hey, earlier somebody mentioned about what my thoughts were about the Magoo bid Motorplex. I got to be a fan. I sat, I watched, I observed. There's still work to be done. I think all around. And listen, I don't think that anyone would shy away from that if you ask someone from the racetrack. There's still work to be done. They still have a lot of bugs to work out. I don't know if the car counts were good, bad, or indifferent. I don't think that matters to me at this point because it's sort of like a preseason, but yet they're having points. But this is like a preseason getting started in August. There was a lot of people in the pits all around with the different divisions. A lot of people came and supported it, and just looking forward to seeing what they'll do with the track in the off season between each week. There's a lot of potential. There's so much potential for that to end up being just a phenomenal facility. The infrastructure is there. You can see it. I can feel it. I can tell that it just, you can just see and sense that they're just these little bugs, little things that a racetrack would have worked out if they've been running week after week after week, year after year after year. And listen, there's some around that have been and still can't work some of these things out. So, I know that team at that track pretty well, and I'd say well enough that they're going to get it right. But again, I still had a good time. My son enjoyed it. He says he did anyway. He said some of those cars were really fast. So he's 4. So that was fine by me. But he got tired. We left early as I expected. So I'll definitely return again for sure.
Good deal. Yeah, good show. I want to thank Brock Hammaker for joining us, and TJ Stutts also for joining us, and you guys for kind of sitting through us trying to work out the bugs there, and TJ fighting through that as well. Technology and live streaming at its finest. Daniel Lee says, awesome 2-hour show, guys. We're just under 2 hours. How about that? I'll be at Clinton County Saturday. Don't be a Debbie Downer. I like that.
We don't want to be.
We don't want to be. But if it is nice and sunny and there's racing, you will see us at Clinton County on Saturday for sure.
And if it's a mildly wet and there's racing, we'll still be there.
It doesn't matter. If they're going to have a race, we're going to be
there.
We're going to be there.
It doesn't matter. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you